Hello, my name is Taylor Preston, and today we're going to talk about skin. Let's start with the parts and functions of the skin. The epidermis is the deepest layer. The melanocytes and dendritic cells only found there. Their function is to produce melanin, the pigment which gives the skin its color, and to transfer it by the surrounding keratinocytes by the means of cytoplasmic processes. The epidermis is the outermost layer of skin, provides a waterproof barrier, and creates our skin tone. The dermis beneath the epidermis contains tough connective tissue, hair follicles, and sweat glands. Now, the sebaceous glands are found throughout all areas of the skin except the palms of the hands and sole of the feet. There are two types of sebaceous glands, those connected to hair follicles and those that exist independently. They produce an oil called sebum, which is thought to play a role in keeping your skin moist. They're located next to individual hair follicles. They are also the hormones that cause body changes at puberty, and they produce more oil. Alright, so there are two main types of sweat glands, the irisin and apocrine glands. The irisin sweat glands are smaller and they do not extend into the dermis. They are coiled tubular glands that discharge their secretions directly onto the surface of the skin. These glands discharge in the canals of the hair follicles and start to secrete around the age of puberty. The sweat can be acted upon by bacteria, which cause a noticeable odor. Sweat is made up of various organic compounds of water. So now we have the life cycle, the three phases of hair. So you have the anagen phase. Your hair grows around half an inch in a month and faster in the summer than in winter. This is the growth phase, lasts an average of 3 to 5 years. It generally lasts longer than Asians and can last as much as 7 years. And the second phase is the catagen phase, and it's the end of the anagen phase. Your hair enters into the catagen phase, a short transitional phase that lasts approximately 10 days. And then the last phase is the telogen phase. Lastly, your hair enters the telogen phase, a resting phase, when your hair is released and falls out. The follicle then remains inactive for 3 months, and the whole process is repeated. Each follicle is independent and goes through the growth cycle at different times, otherwise all your hair would fall out at once. Instead, you only shed a certain number of hairs a day, up to 80 hairs on a healthy head of hair. Now there are some differences between human hair and animal hair. With animals, the core has properties that allow for coating of the hair to provide excellent insulation from not only heat and cold, but also a fair amount of protection from rain as well. The combination of thermoregulating qualities along with the coarse nature of animal hair as a great means of holding in heat or cold, as well as preventing rain. Human hair does little to nothing to provide temperature regulation for the body and lacks the ability to prevent rain from soaking through the scalp. And there are some differences between ethnic groups. African American hair produces plenty of protective oils called sebum. In fact, African hair actually produces more than Caucasian and Asian hair. However, due to the tight curls, the oil fails to spread evenly along the hair fiber. Now, hair is also used in murder trials to find out who did what and stuff like that. So in August of 2001, a man was walking his dog in Linley Woods near Otley in West Yorkshire, found the body of a 16-year-old girl, Leanne Tiernan, buried in a shallow grave. This was about 10 miles from her home in Landseer Mount, Bramley, Leeds. She had been walking home from a Christmas shopping trip with her best friend in November 2000. When she disappeared, she had a black plastic bag over her head, held in place with a dog collar with a scarf and cable tie around her neck, and the cable ties were also holding her wrists together. The scarf tied around Leanne's neck had a few hairs caught in the net. Unfortunately, there was not sufficient DNA in the roots for standard DNA profiling. However, the scientists found very small amounts of DNA in the hair shaft and used mitochondrial DNA testing to match it with John Taylor. There were also dog hairs on Leanne's body, and scientists in Texas produced a partial dog DNA profile. This was the first time a British murder investigation had used a dog DNA profiling. However, John Taylor's dog had died, so this could not be used in evidence. John Taylor was arrested in October 2001 and sentenced to 2 life sentences in July 2002. In February 2003, he was convicted of 2 rapes based on DNA evidence and given 2 additional life sentences. So that's some pretty interesting stuff about hair. You can learn a lot from it, and I hope that this podcast helped you learn some more about hair.